You want to do things fast, probably this journey isn't right for you. You might as well just write on someone who's done it. But if you are creating something big and you would like to do it all by yourself, then on this journey there will definitely be failures. We call it in a very simple layman term, but technically these are feedbacks. And once you look at what have I done from the things that did not go right, and what can I take away from there? What can I change the next time I re-attempt the same feat again? That's where a person will continuously put himself on that failing forward journey.
Kinect Coaching, Unplugged.
Good morning, everyone. Connor here from Kinect Coaching. The awesome Callum has had some computer issues this morning, so he's had to duck out in order to get that fixed, and he'll be back next week. And today it is George Lee and myself. George Lee is the founder, director, CEO of an international training business based in, the head office is in Singapore. The business is called the Mind Synergy. I've personally known George for about 7-8 years now, I think.
8 years, yeah, I think
8 years.
It's been a long while.
It has been. George has an incredible background. He's one of those unique people in the world that does make a difference, makes a huge impact with everyone that he works with and talks with. And the Mind Synergy specializes in mental wellness and personal development. And the head office is in Singapore, but you also have satellite offices in China and in the Philippines. So you're starting to grow on an international level. George, thank you very much for being here. Very happy to have you. Podcast number, the Kinect Unplugged podcast number 12. Welcome.
Woo. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, Sydney. Good morning, Australia. And of course, good morning, Singapore, and my students and my friends in the Philippines and China. Of course, this will be done in English. So apologies to my Chinese students who can't really understand English well. I'll do a translation after this.
Brilliant. Well, this is actually one of your unique gifts. How many languages do you speak?
Right now, personally, I speak 2 languages, Chinese and English, and that's where I predominantly conduct my classes in. And of course, because we have branched out into the Philippines, and there are a small number of my team which speak really, really fluent Tagalog, and that's where we also run courses, short little workshops and previews, or should I say half-day workshops with students from the Philippines. And of course, they are predominantly a English-speaking country as well. But there are certain, as you know, translation, message gets lost in translation. So we always have a local that helps to reinforce and re-emphasize certain English word, which can't exactly bring out the meaning in other languages.
Yes.
I have the same kind of support when I do classes in Mandarin as well. So yes, that's but as we all know, NLP hypnosis, it has been a language that is translated into multiple languages.
Yes.
And it is really about connecting the mind, how it actually controls the body, and subsequently how it propels us to achieve the result or the happiness that we really want in life.
Absolutely. So happiness is a universal language.
Exactly, yeah.
So I have a question. Do you dream in English or Mandarin?
Wow, that is you know what? I would say both. I would say both. And anything that is being dreamt and spoken in one language, unconsciously, deep down in my mind, I will right away translate it into a second language or a third language, because it is my dream. It was, but now it is my dream, and also what we are doing right now in terms of actioning to go international. And I started out as a one-man team, like what all trainers do. We started out as a singular with one very solid and strong big dream to well, in my case, it's really to empower every life. And it doesn't matter where this life comes from. It can be Australia, US, UK, China, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, whatever it is. So long it is a life that's really motivated to improve themselves. As they come into my community, I will do my best to elevate them. And I guess that's how, with this very solid and strong vision that I started off with, my team have grown to a small, it's not big right now, it's probably about 7 of us, but based in different little cities around the world. And well, I definitely hope that this number of 7 will continue to grow to 70, 700, 7,000. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. But as the number grows, I know for sure that I've actually impacted at some point in their life, inculcate a big change where, it's this small little ripple effect that we do it one at a time, one at a time. And before you know it, you have created a big tsunami in a good way, of course.
In a good way, yes.
Yes,
Absolutely. So has that been because your background, what you haven't been doing what you're currently doing for your entire life.
Yeah,
You, from memory, you were in the military, in the Singapore
exactly.
military for quite some time. It's compulsory in Singapore? Is it compulsory to go into the military for a couple of years? Is that
That's it. You got it right. Because Singapore, as a small little nation, we have this mandatory conscript service where every boy who is a Singaporean son or a permanent resident, second generation PR, you have to serve 2 years in the Singapore military, be it in the Army, Air Force, Navy, the fire service, in the police force. It doesn't matter, but it is a contribution back to the country that we call home. And in my personal journey, I started really, really young. I was enlisted at a young age of 16. And lo and behold, I continued on, made it a career of mine, spending 24 years in the Singapore military before I retired at the age of 41. But this was where I exactly developed my perspective of the world. It's like because my career have given me the opportunity to go around the world, and I've actually spent a good number of times training in Australia as well, down under, and that's where I realized that the world internationally has so much similarities between us. Although we speak different language, although we probably live different kind of lifestyle, the food that we eat predominantly are very much different from continent to continent. But there's this one big identity, or this one big similarity that we all carry. We want to bring good to the world. We want to be happy, and no one wants to die. But because the environmental condition that we are in somehow forces us to take action in a very different way, probably in a way that we didn't want it ourselves. So that's where I brought myself out during my in the middle of my career. I felt that there's so much more that I can actually grow in myself, and it was mainly for personal development, a personal growth that I seek in myself, that I went around searching. And wow, lo and behold, I was so fortunate to come to NLP. This field exactly opened up my vision. And when I came to it, I spent 1 year doing my training. After I finished my master practitioner, I said, you know what, George, this is it. This is where you have to be. And that was way back in the year 2012, a good 12 years ago.
2012. Was that done in Singapore? Was that in Singapore?
Yes, exactly. So I was initially trained in Singapore by a Singaporean trainer, and that absolutely opened up my vision, my eyes as to what the world is really about and what NLP can bring.
Okay, so just to recap for the listeners, most listeners will know what NLP is, but you're specifically referring to NLP, which is Neuro-Linguistic Programming. Could you give me
That's right.
1 or 2 sentences on what NLP is?
Okay, good. So Neuro-Linguistic Programming, in a very simple nutshell, what it does is it helps us understand our prior programming. Like, why are we doing things that we are doing right now? If you are feeling unhappy, if you are feeling angry, if you are feeling depressed, frustrated, there is always a reason behind. And if you were to understand and go deep down and find the root cause, that's where the entire change starts to begin. And it was this amazing neuro-linguistic programming skill set that I've discovered way back in 2012. I realized that this is the answer to a lot of people's misery or even their stuck state or the problem they're facing there.
Well, that
So
would have
yeah.
been an interesting step. So you were in the military. How were you introduced to NLP? Was it through the military or through your own research?
Wow, that is so this was what I discovered. Being in the military for 24 years, that's where I actually got my enlightenment. Why are soldiers behaving the way they are? Like, why are they motivated to do something that could be taking their lives away? Like, why are we willing to serve the country that we call home? Now, without identity or without country, talking about specific country that we all come from, like, what is this thing about loyalty that people bring forth when they serve wholeheartedly, giving it to the nation?
Interesting.
And NLP actually gives me the answer. It's about the values, it's about the conditioning, about the programming, and really about the growing up experience that this very soldier has been through. And if I were to look at every single soldier that I have led and have worked with, every one of them share a certain similarity at certain point in their growing up years that made them decide to, you know what, sir, I'm going to dedicate my life to this country called Singapore. And of course, I've trained with various different militaries. So I've trained in the US, I've trained in Malaysia, I've trained in Australia with the ADF and various countries military. But that's one similar trait that I actually find in every single soldier. And if I'm able to replicate, and that's where I was able to, if I'm able to replicate this way of thinking, this way of feeling towards their country or their corporates or their companies, then you will find that this person has what we call loyalty. And as much as abstract we talked about loyalty, the truth is there is a certain logical science behind how it's being brought out in a person's behavior. And that's where I absolutely understood that, you know what, military has already been using neuro-linguistic programming. We've been using hypnosis to condition a particular soldier mind. And in our way, we call it character building. Yeah, it's just same food but different name across the world. Character building, leadership, development. But the way that a soldier actually behave and think is very much similar across different militaries.
Interesting. So, oh, my camera's gone blurry here. So so were you able to nail it down, what it was? I mean, you used the word loyalty. Is there anything beneath loyalty or anything like if we say the label is loyalty, if I was to pull the curtain back behind loyalty, what would I find?
This is a deep, it's I would say it's a rather deep and deeper question. You're right, Connor, because behind loyalty or underneath loyalty, there are various reasons as to why someone would be loyal to the company, to the family, to the community, or even to the country that they are living in or they are serving in. And this is where we go deeper down and we find out the individual motivation. So what is their motivation to be loyal to this particular entity that they would love to give their loyalty to? So again, motivation leads to loyalty, and well, you can go even deeper. So once we chunk it down, we chunking up means as we move up or down deep into the context, we'll be able to find that the reason for someone to be motivated or loyal would be very different. It's very different as to why someone would be laying down their life for or giving in their time and effort to the company they're working in. So let me just shift the context from military, because I'm out of it, right? Well, I'm still in the reserve, but
that was my next question. I was going to see if there was a structure, because we have loyalty to company, loyalty to organizations, loyalty to an industry, and we have sports teams that have fans who spend half of their earnings to travel around with the sports team in order to watch them live. So I guess where, as you were talking, I was thinking, is there a universal formula that we could unpack a little bit, that it's applied, you've applied it to the military, but it plays out in sports, it plays out in business.
Exactly, exactly. Because that's what gave me that clarity as to find out how the structure actually works. Neuro-Linguistic Programming was the answer.
Yeah.
And as I understand human, their behavior, the way they speak, and their underlying intent and motivational reason, I realized that there is always a way. Now, as I said this to the corporates that I train and motivates in, they will say that, are you sure, George? Do you really agree that everyone and anyone can be motivated? And my answer to any question that is thrown to me like that would be an absolute yes.
Yes.
Everyone and anyone can be motivated, but here's where there's a strong but here. But here's where effort and time needs to be put in, because we have to go in down individually and personally to find out what this person is actually driven by, what is the context and the world that he or she is living in. And we're not talking about the physical world outside. We're talking about the mental world that he carries around, because how he judge people, how does he analyze, how does he logicalize his thinking and decides on his action. If we are able to understand that part, then we will definitely be able to motivate him to do things that he probably wouldn't be doing right now, or he's actually resisting. For example, getting a kid to study hard, like get good grades for your exams. Like, you know what, Dad, I don't want to study. I just want to play my computer games.
Okay.
Parents, this would be a common probably resistance or
Common problem
objection
for many parents. Yes.
So we've been through, and you know what? It's not a problem that is unique to Australian. I have it here in Singapore. Anywhere that I travel around the world, Malaysia, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, every parents have this communication challenge with their kids, because with social media coming in today's world, we probably are facing a new kind of problem, a problem that we have not been through ourselves when we were their age. So now, how do parents of the 2020s
Yes.
solve a problem that they have not been through when we were like growing up in the 1980s, 1990s? We're talking about a 30 years gap, but you know what? The world is growing exponentially over the past 30 years. And with AI coming in, it's going to be even more, I don't know what is the descriptive word I can use it, scary. But that's the reality.
Unknown,
right?
a lot of unknowns.
Exactly. But this is where we don't have to like knock our heads down and then start crying over the spilled milk, because not all is lost. With the structure understood in the way we train, how we logicalize things, we'll be able to find out how this kid is actually thinking. And when we understand his or her motivational push, that's where parents can actually come in and speak to them much more effectively and getting straight to the point without compromising what you want. But of course, there will be certain give and take along the way. I guess
So
it's really about letting go.
It's sort of like, I don't have to have of being a smoker
To understand
quit
the
smoking
problem of
to help
smoking.
other people quit smoking.
Spot on.
Okay,
That's
I'm with you.
exactly right. Because it's not a content heavy subject that we're bringing in, but more so of a process.
Yes. Awesome. So this is good. So with when did you know it was time to leave? So all of this is playing on in the background here. Your knowledge is growing. You're studying up. You're coming to Australia every year to become and become certified to the highest possible level in NLP. And
Yeah.
at what point were you ready to say goodbye to the military and focus on your life's mission, which is what you have now?
Wow. Okay. So that would be more of a personal question, but I guess my personal decision made back then actually impacted a lot of lives around the world. So as I've shared earlier, I have been in touch with NLP initially in the year 2012. And that's where I told myself, you know what, George, this is the field you have to be in next.
Yeah. Okay.
But the golden question would be, so when do I step into this amazing field? I could have done it right then, dropping my uniform and then just doing this full blown. But I thought to myself, I have to make sure that I've got substantial knowledge, content, and credibility to bring to the world, because You can't give the world what you don't have inside. That is a underlying belief that we all need to have. So if you've been carrying insufficiency, scarcity, or you are full of frustration, and you try to engage your client doing consultation work, this is what you'll be giving your client. You'll be giving them your inadequacy. So I told myself, I'm going to spend the next couple of years to build up whatever I need to do, knowledge, financially, making sure that I've gained enough business knowledge, the way to handle a small little business and how to grow it.
Hey guys, Callum and Connor here from Kinect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged Podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting, the Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely. What we love doing is lighting people up and helping them realize that their future is bright and, most importantly, making a difference in this world. So we are very excited to be able to share this with you.
If you want to turn every prospect into a Forever Client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.
And that took me a couple of years. In fact, it's really long before I tendered in my retirement letter, which was in the year 2020. Now, we all know what happened in 2020. This huge game changer happened worldwide. It's called COVID-19. But ironically, I made the decision without foreseeing that COVID-19 is happening.
It would have happened anyway. Type of situation.
I made the decision in late 2019. I took the action in early 2020 without knowing how worldwide, how great the impact will be.
Yeah, because it was 2 weeks to flatten the curve, right? And
yes,
you know, I think in 2004 the bird flu came out and they closed down Hong Kong airport, and it didn't expand.
It didn't go worldwide. And in
what it was,
2003 there was SARS as well.
SARS, that's
right. It was very contained in a few countries only. But COVID-19, that was the massive worldwide game changer. And you know what? There is always a reason why certain things happen during the time that it did. And on hindsight, my business grew in 2020 because people around the world couldn't travel. And the same goes for here in Singapore and in China too, especially in China. So that's where I realized that, hey, you know what? By me coming into a personal development school business, I have actually helped a lot of people get a hold of their life. They understand the reasoning or the program that was running their life throughout these whole years. I don't know, some of them 40, 50s, or even 60 years of their life. And it brought clarity to them. And once I did that with simply just conversational skill set, like what we are doing here, that gave them that light bulb, that enlightenment that they all need. And COVID may not necessarily be a bad thing that happened. Of course, we all wish that it didn't happen, but
I understand.
we made the best of what we had, right?
Yeah, we always have to.
Yes.
I think one of the NLP principles that I've heard about is cause and effect, and those that generally live a more successful, prosperous, satisfying, happy, whatever nice label we want to use, generally they take accountability for what happens to them, or whether or not it's their fault. I know if the bus comes early and I miss that bus, I could blame the bus. I could blame the bus driver, I could blame the bus. But it's my life, my world, and I chose to catch that bus at that time. And as a result of choosing to catch that bus, it was late. And therefore, I was late for work. Now, that's one small example. And it's really coming down to where you were angling. It really is a mindset you hold. And when you do take accountability and you are choosing to be at cause for what happens to you, there's no science to prove it's right or wrong or anything like that. But you and I have worked with thousands of people over the years, and those that are more fulfilled in life sit more on the cause side of the equation and take responsibility. It's not fault. Fault is different, and fault can have a negative connotation. Fault is I've done something wrong. It's not about that at all. It's about taking accountability and getting the learnings from that. So that hopefully, making one, as a kid, we were taught, sure, make mistakes, but don't make the same mistake over and over again. And as adults now, it's called, the notion of failing forward.
That's
a lot
right,
of people
yeah.
have picked up on that. And the Bruce Lee quote, what is it? That's not Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee has another one, but the quote of a master has failed more times than the novice has even
Cycle.
tried.
That's right, yeah.
And so there's a reason why all of this has been taught and given to us and passed down through from one generation to the next, and that is everyone who has success will be the first person to encourage people to fail forward. Will be the first person to encourage someone. It's okay to make mistakes. Just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep going. And the people who create success in their lives are the ones that have they. And I choose the words correctly. They made it work. They didn't sit there and go, oh, everything just fell in my lap. They made it work. They made situations work for themselves. They could easily sit on the effect side and say, oh, I'm not successful because of the weather, because of the environment, because of COVID, because of this, because of that. There are a lot of people who always make money when times are bad, and there are a lot of people who always lose money when times are good. So
Yeah.
what is it? And anyway, we could probably have another whole podcast about that, but I'm just unpacking the importance of taking accountability and being at cause. And it's not always easy. Sometimes it's like, and we get unresourceful. We're human. We're emotional. We can't just be robots walking around thinking everything's great all the time. It's not about that. It's about getting those learnings. It's about looking at it from one step back and taking accountability. How I missed the bus. What could have I done differently next time to ensure that I don't miss that bus? And that's I guess the angle that I'm wanting to
Exactly,
drive on here.
100%. So just yesterday night, I saw this quote by Usain Bolt. It's a reminder, actually. I kind of like posted it many years back, and Facebook reminded me that, hey, you know what, George? 3 years ago, you posted this. The quote goes like this: I spent 4 years trying to run under 9 seconds.
That's right.
In 9 seconds. So that was his record for the 100-meter dash, right? And some people gave up after 2 months. So it's like the journey is really long. You want to do things fast, probably this journey isn't right for you. You might as well just write on someone who's done it. But if you are creating something big and you would like to do it all by yourself, then on this journey there will definitely be failures. We call it in a very simple layman term, but technically these are feedbacks. And once you look at what have I done from the things that did not go right, and what can I take away from there? What can I change the next time I reattend the same feed again? That's where a person will continuously put himself on that failing forward journey. And now the word fail may sound as taboo as it is. It might sound bad. It is really harsh. But once you fail forward, that's where all successful people get their success.
Absolutely.
They have to fail.
Absolutely.
It's an inevitable journey that all of us have to go through. And Connor, you're absolutely right. Once we move ourselves to the cause side, we take ownership of the mistake that we make. But it's not about blame. It's really about taking responsibility. Because if we are responsible for that mistake, that also means that we are in full control and we have the full responsibility, we have the full authority to make the change that we need in order to get the result that we want. So everything is within our own pair of hands, and we can't blame anyone. So I guess that's where people with belief like ours will be more fulfilled. They will feel more satisfied. Even if they don't have the world, they can still get the kind of satisfaction that they truly deserve.
Absolutely. I mean, this is using that bus, missing the bus. If my bus is late or it doesn't even turn up and I miss a very important interview for a new job, if they move that interview to the next day, so they say, yep, no worries, let's do it at 9 o'clock tomorrow. The person who is at cause will catch the 7:30 bus and make sure they're in town an hour early instead of catching the 8:30 bus and leaving 10 minutes. Someone who is at effect and who didn't learn from that scenario would still catch the same, keep doing the same strategy, expecting a different result. Someone who is at cause and someone who is destined for success will change something within their behavior, first their mind, then their behavior, and then
That's right.
go ahead and catch that earlier bus. Now, obviously, that's a little example. It's probably a true example for some people, but this is how it plays out.
That's right.
It's the ownership, I think you said. I like that word.
Yeah.
So tell me about you finished up with the military in 2021, was it, or you handed in your
2020.
resignation in
2020. So
2020?
it's been 4 years officially,
Mhm.
but the truth is I've already been practicing NLP like more than 12 years of my life,
Mhm.
and I came to training it for the past 6 to 7 years while I was, because it was my transitional stage that I was in, and yeah, uh, it's really about making use of the resource that you have to the best of your ability,
Mhm.
and that's where I came to the decision that, you know what, George, I think you're ready. Let's just push with what you have in terms of your life dream and make it work out. So yeah, that was the year I did the big jump. Of course, as entrepreneurs like myself and yourself and many entrepreneurs around the world, we would definitely agree that this journey, sometimes it's lonely, sometimes it's really harsh, and sometimes I will look back and wonder, why did I even make that decision to leave a comfortable job, drawing a stable monthly salary, to do this crazy thing? But being on the cost side, we will snap out of that thought right away and say that
Yeah.
is your motivation still the same?
This is
Is
good.
your purpose of living still the same?
So I think some people think that being at cause means that you're just always thinking positive things. So what you brought up is I think very valuable for people to really grasp, and that is if you have a thought, why am I doing this, and you have those doubts, it's sort of how quickly you snap out of that, isn't it? To a degree.
Exactly, 100%. Because it's only human of us to have doubts. It's only human
Yes.
of us to look backwards and ask ourselves, is this not was is this a mistake that I'm in? Should I go back to the greener
Yeah, it's a
field
lot
that I
easier to
came out
talk
from?
ourselves back into safety than it is to talk ourselves to continue out of our comfort zone towards something that we want.
It's so common, like even in the words that I hear from my clients, like, you know what, George, you're telling me to change, but it's so difficult to change. And this is where coaches like us, consultants like us, we find the similarities. On some days of our life, we may feel like we are the clients, like I'm complaining about my life just like what my clients is complaining about theirs. But being on the side where I'm coaching them allows me to see things from two sides, and that gives me the ability to coach myself out from that. You know what, George, that negative thought shows that you're only human. But in order to get the success, you have to be superhuman, and you have to snap yourself out from that toxic thought that you're having right now. It's not going to help you. It is not a helpful belief. So what is it that you have to develop to push yourself forward, so that even if you fail, you're failing forward? And as times goes by, I realized that stepping myself out of that toxic thought takes almost like 1 second, two, or even shorter than that. We become an expert at stepping out of negative thoughts and putting in more positive ones.
So it's taking out the bad apple and refilling the fruit basket with nice, healthy, ripe ones.
Definitely. And this journey of entrepreneurship is never a bit of roses. You just have to bite the bullet, push forward, and
Just got to do it, right? Yeah.
you
I mean,
just
I
gotta
was
do
the
it,
same.
yeah.
I was in a role for nearly 20 years, very comfortable, got paid very well, but it
Yeah.
just wasn't. I knew there was more, and it was a big step out.
Mhm.
Incredibly happy that I did it, and I knew just there was more in this world for me to do, and I get that, and yes, absolutely, we all go through our own little roller coaster journey. So it's easy to say, oh yeah, I'll snap out, I'll snap into the
Yeah.
positive thought. I'll snap back into focusing on what I want. What is your strategy for actually doing that? So we have someone who maybe their strategy in life is that they try something, they fail, and then they'll beat themselves up for a couple of days, and then in that beating up, mentally beat themselves up, and then in that process convince themselves that they're better off back, back at square one, back where it's safe. How did you condition? I guess it's a condition, right? How did you condition? It's not a condition, but you had to condition yourself. How did you condition yourself to put that into place? Is it a practice? Is it a technique that you've done? How can you do it so quickly?
Well, that what I would say would be the key answer to why I'm still doing what I'm doing today. It's about me putting myself into a encouraging, into a motivated and a positive environment. So what do you mean by environment? It's the people that we mix around. So as entrepreneur myself, sometimes I feel really lonely. Like, why am I doing this? I started out this alone. Yes, I did. It was full of like stars, sun, and everything is bright on the other side. But when I step on it, I realized that actually, you know what, there are days, there are months that it's really gloomy, and I'm all alone here. I feel like giving up. I want to go back to my old comfort zone. On those days, that's where I am very, very thankful and grateful that, you know what, along the way, I have built a small little community of people who have exactly the same mindset that I do. And there are times where I go to them, and well, lo and behold, these are actually my students. I go to them and say that, you know what, probably I was wrong in teaching you the thing I did. And they looked at me and say, George, you're not wrong. You're just human. And they turn out to be the one that encourages me to continue to push forward. And on some days, the conversation goes the other way. Like I am the one who is encouraging them. So it is very important to put ourselves in a positive and supportive environment where each one of us might be facing a different problem, but it's the kind of mindset that we need to remind ourselves to, you know what, yeah, the decision was made, and there's actually nothing wrong in the decision that you made. And this part of the gloomy journey is already predicted. It's part and parcel of this journey. It's just that you didn't see it back then. It was blurry. But now that you are at this junction, it's getting clearer. That's my strategy. It's not about the exact technique, because the technique would change every single time with regards to the different problem that we face on different days. But the same group of people that we walk with actually is the constant answer. So long as someone is holding your hand, putting their supportive arm around your shoulder and say that, you know what, George, it's okay to rest, but move on, continue to move on. Rest for the day, take a small little retreat, leave the country for a short trip, like 2 to 3 days, come back more recharged, more refreshed, and that's where you'll be able to resolve the problem that you're facing right now. And I do get that, and I feel that it's really helpful.
Very. I mean, there's the expression "proximity is power." There's another saying, "You're the average of the 5 people around you." There's another saying, "Give me your friends and show me your friends, and I'll show you how you'll turn out." So there is something in choosing to be in a supportive community.
Who you mix with.
And nowadays, really, if you have the internet, there's supportive communities everywhere globally.
Worldwide,
In fact, Kinect Coaching is a very supportive community for many people. And I guess the mind synergy, this is one of the reasons why you've grown so much, I would imagine, is because you create that space for people to fully embrace their growth and the next steps in their life. So, I guess, could you briefly unpack, like when we spoke beforehand, you said the mind synergy focuses on mental wellness and mindfulness and personal development. So is it trainings that you run? Is it certification trainings? Is it seminars as such? Is it sort of long 3-week leadership courses? How do you deliver this to the world?
Well, right now we do have a variety of modes and trainings that we do. Of course, the more traditional ones would be the certification course, which is rather long and is quite draining on corporate's time. But of course, we do that courses as long as 11 days, 15 days. We do that periodically around the year. But in between those long courses, we actually have short workshops, like 1 to 2 days kind of workshop or boot camp. And even as short as half a day 2 hours kind of a short talk. And we do keynote speaking as well. That's where me and my team actually have grown, because each one of us, we specialize in different forte, and we choose what is the best way that we would like to, how we think best fit the customer needs and requirement. Then we will definitely curate, customize the delivery method. But yeah, because not everyone is interested in being certified. They just want to come in and say that, you know what, George, I've got this urgent issue in my company. I need it resolved over the next 2 months. What do I need to do? If you were to spend 1 month getting them to go through the course, that's it. They've lost 1 month in terms of time to resolve their problem. But if you have immediate techniques that we can actually help them, let them see that this is what's causing their problem, then that's where they can use the rest of the 2 months to get that problem out of their way. So yeah, various ways, various modes, because everyone's context and requirement is different. We do as short as 1 hour to 18 days. Yep, we do. It's a range of different programs that we offer.
Awesome. And what sort of problems would they come to you with? So you said, what sort of problems would they?
The most common ones, if we talk about companies and corporates, would be motivation.
As in,
and of course, communication.
As in helping the team motivated, like get them to just to do their job, or is it to get them to perform at a high level?
Both. Of course, we've got teams that they have been going downhill, and for that, the first step would be to stop them from going further. Just to stabilize where they are, and then we move to the second step, which is to get them to perform at the high level. Because there are certain times where if you were to look at the team right away, let's perform at the next level, it might be a big jump for them, because as of this point in time, they are not even looking at improving. They are just looking at stopping the drop. What we call stop loss. Yeah. So you have to stabilize, like prevent the team from going further downhill, down south. Let them stop where they are first. We call it reconcile. Okay, do a reconciliation as to, okay, where are we now? What do we need to do? What's everyone's values? And once everybody is clear about the team's value, what do they need to change individually, and of course at the team level, then we talk about, okay, so now that we have kind of like stabilized over the past 2 to 3 months, how would you like to set your next quarter goal? And these are different, because everyone's growth is different depending on which state of business life they are in, and also depending on the result that they are getting. Then we come in with a very customized solution based approach. So yeah, motivation is like it's a overarching kind of problem, but within motivational issues itself, we have to look at different reason and different stage of the business life.
And I guess your work with the military, with motivation and loyalty, ties in very nicely with how you work with the corporate sector.
Yeah, because I always go in with this very strong example. Now, in the military, we get people to be motivated. In return, if they lose, what are they going to lose? It's their life. The soldiers are going to lose their life because of the motivational push that they put in, that they get, and the motivation that they put in terms of loyalty, right? Now, if I am able to transfer this willingness to lay down their life for a country into that of a company, like I'm willing to lay down. Of course, we are not talking about that kind of extreme
I understand
description, but
it's not life or death.
It's not life or death, but we're talking about a person's time and effort. If I'm willing to give in my time and effort to my company, wouldn't you agree that, hey, this is a really motivated employee, and we should be looking at him growing for the company, and while doing that, he grows himself in terms of promotions, I don't know, bonuses,
incentives,
impacts. That's
beautiful. Well, I have really enjoyed having you here. We're just about up for time now, George, but I feel as though I mean, we've known each other for quite some time. I could keep going for another 2 to 3 hours. Before we do go, big picture, just one sentence. Why do you do what you do?
Wow.
I mean, there's so many layers in that, but if you could chunk up, if you could distill it to?
I would say I would use one word to describe that. It's this big word called love.
Yeah.
It's love for life. I feel it. I feel very, very sad and very, very inadequate when I see humans wasting their life and their potentials away. It's like this person have a lot, but why are they harping on what they've lost? Yes, we all lose things, right? We lose time, we lose money, we lost friends, but look at what you have now, and you can make so much more with what you have, getting you even more. And it is this conversion ability that I feel that I have the responsibility to get that person to make good of what they have,
Yes.
to transform it into something more. It could be something more, not for themselves, but that more would definitely empower or benefit someone outside of them. And
Correct.
if you are able to uplift one person's life, that's it. Your reason to live in this world is already justified. But if you can uplift 2 lives, 3 lives, or even 30 or 50 lives, you have done more than what you're obligated to do.
It comes down to leaving the world a better place from.
Yes. So it's a legacy that I'm trying to
nice.
leave behind. But
I've got some
this big word called love.
goosebumps as we're talking about this.
Yeah, man.
Brilliant. So where can people find you? So the Mind Synergy, is that the name of your website?
Exactly. So you'll be able to find me on our company website, themindsynergy.com. And of course, you can follow us on our social medias, on our LinkedIn, like on Facebook, it'll be facebook.com/themindsynergy. So it's a rather unique name, and I think it'll be easy to find us once you type in the Mind Synergy word.
George Lee, the Mind Synergy. Amazing, mate. Thank you very much for being here. I appreciate you getting up early. George is in Singapore, so this kicked off at 6:30 in the morning for him. Greatly appreciate your time, energy, and would love to have you back with Callum when he's when he's got his laptop working again. Thank you very much for tuning in, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend. I will stop the Facebook, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me.
Hey guys, Callum and Connor here from Kinect Coaching. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Unplugged Podcast. We're jumping in to let you know about something really exciting. If you are a practitioner, a coach, or a trainer in the alternative therapy modality space, the Forever Client Matrix is something that we've modeled in the last 30 combined years, both Connor and my experience. And we've turned it into a 2-day intensive, and we want to give you a preview of that Forever Client Matrix.
Absolutely.
We want to make the bar for them to enter into that program very, very low and have them get incredible results.
I've sold about $40 million worth, and together we've sold about $100 million worth with our teams.
That's right. We believe that trust and reliability is the currency of the future. So if you want to turn every transaction into a transformational experience, if you want to turn every prospect into a forever client, then please click on the link below in the description and get instant access now to your preview of the Forever Client Matrix.
Enjoy.